sim. I don't know if it's a Brooklyn thing, but the simulations we've seen of the Brooklyn Nets, they seem to be doing better than their real life counterparts
Yeah.
in this 2K simulation. They might have a little bit of a 2K bias here. Because it's 12-0. I don't think I've ever seen an NBA actual game start 12-0. The Heat just cannot buy a bucket right now. Come on, Lowry, get some. That's a dunk. Okay, finally broke the seal. Maybe that'll start something for the Heat. Let's talk Kyle Lowry, because we haven't really talked to Kyle Lowry a whole bunch this year. How about Kyle Lowry, man?
He hasn't been doing much. He's actually been playing pretty bad in terms of the minutes he's getting. He's not putting up many stats. Tyler Hero's been.
He got 9 assists. My point guard should get 9 or 10 assists, so at least there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not shooting particularly well and playing a lot of minutes. But in all fairness, I think that's a pretty good fit for him. He was a +7 overall. And if you can do that, you're affecting the game in a positive way when you're on the field or on the court. I don't think that Lowry cares if he scores at this point. I think he wants to win more than anything.
Yeah, but I just think maybe he's focusing more on defense, doing the little things or something.
Yeah. Another player who reminds me of, just wanting to do little things for the Lakers specifically is our rookie, Austin Nolan.
Austin Reeves?
Reeves. Who's Nolan?
I don't know who Nolan is.
Austin Reeves, but they interviewed his dad, and it was pretty funny. I was watching it, and his dad seemed to be pretty cool. I didn't know this, but him and Malik Monk played like a high school basketball game, like a championship or a playoff game against each other, and Reeves' team won, actually, which is kind of cool.
Dang.
Reeves was a rookie, or a freshman, I believe, while Malik was a senior, something like that. That's how the story goes.
Dude, those competitive high school environments are so awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I wonder, I think going back and looking at NBA players, high school highlight, games, I think it's so fun because they were really, in their area, they were the best, player. It's crazy. Everybody in the league.
Yeah.
I guess not everybody. I think you also your guys who kind of grinded their way through college and were never the best player, but they just play a good role, nice role.
And maybe they grew a little bit and developed a little bit.
Yeah.
It's an advantage of some late bloomers for sure. If you get on a team or at least you're pretty decent, you can bloom into something nice.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about the NBA. There's very few people. There's the top guys, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, those guys who everyone knows are going to be good. But role players, especially valuable players on your NBA roster, those are the ones that are always a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, solid role players. Who do you think's the best role player of all time?
I'd probably say Manu Ginobili. Or Manu Ginobili, however you want to say that. I think that's what comes to mind immediately. Knew his role, did it so well, never cried about it. Was perfect for Pop and the Spurs. Another good role player would have been maybe Robert Horry.
Yeah, what comes to my mind is Klay Thompson.
You think he's a role player? He's a starter, though. He's a star. What do you mean by role player in that sense?
That's the thing. Manu and Klay tiptoed the line because everyone knew the Spurs were a three-headed monster. I think people saw Manu as a star as well. But I don't know. I think it's more the way you play. I think a quality would be ball heavy. Defense is huge, I think, for a role player. Because that's the thing. I think Klay's play style is a role player play style.
Right.
Even though he'll give you 25, Just the way he gets his buckets are different than than your average star,
Yeah,
your
that
normal
makes
star.
sense. I don't know if I agree that Clay's a role player in that sense. That might not sit well just because before Kevin Durant, he was the second best player on the team. And that's why when Kevin Durant joined, it was like, what the heck? Because they didn't really, like, Clay had to play that role player role a little bit instead of being the second best player. But, you know, as soon as Kevin Durant's left, he's back to where he was. So,
In terms of skill, Clay is an all-star. Yeah, I guess you just have to define what a role player is.
like, Lamar Odom would be another great role player.
And he was still, people would argue he was a star too.
I would think to be a role player, you have to come off the bench.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because think about all the non-star starters in the league. They're definitely not stars. Everybody who's not a star is a role player in my head.
Well, you have stars, role players, and then bench players. Like, actual just like, we're up by 20, here's some playing time players.
Like you look at Tim Hardaway Jr. He's definitely not a star, but he's a role player and he starts. So it's like,
Interesting. How many roles does a role player have then? Is it just one role, like shoot? Or is it... Because Klay Thompson has more than one role. And that's where it's no longer just a role player. That's where you become a star.
that's interesting. One role for a role player. That's weird because you think of like PJ Tucker. He's a great
job, really. 3-and-D is his job. That's it.
But that's more than one job. That's essentially Clay too. 3-and-D. He's not going to create off the dribble. He's going to catch it and shoot it. You know. So it's just, yeah, I guess you would have to define.
I just think of like getting 50 in 3/4 is not a role player.
That's why I think he's the GOAT role player, you know. Like, who else? Let's think
I bet you we get him on this stream, he would disagree with you.
I'm sure he would. Yeah, sure he would.
Hell no,
as he
not
should.
A role player.
As he should.
Ooh, and one by Jimmy Butler. They need a little bit. I'm trying to get this win because we're looking real lean tonight.
Let's think about other high quality role players. Like highest quality.
Well, the best role player wins a championship. That's the max a role player can do. Because you could be a role player on a bad team and lose a bunch of games, and that would suck, right? As we go to halftime, Brooklyn up 25-15. That's why I think Manu Ginobili, Robert Horry, Lamar Odom, they played a role. You think of the Heat teams that won 2 championships. Chris Bosh wasn't really a role player. Was he? If you're
I think he had to become one.
If you're a big... can you have a true big 3 on a team? Or is it big 2 in role players? I think it might be big 2 in role players.
The Nets did it with the Nets did it with Kyrie, Harden, and KD for sure.
But they lost.
They were all out.
They didn't win a championship. That's my point.
Well, they were injured.
Would they have beat the Bucks, you think?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
No, the Bucks have a traditional 2 stars and role players. Very traditional team. Kobe and Pau and a bunch of role players. LeBron and D-Wade and a bunch of role players. KD and Steph, and I guess by that logic, a bunch of role players. But Steph and Clay did win one as the 2 stars without Kevin Durant.
I guess I think about how Like, what's a desirable trait that teams look for in role players? The two highest ones are three-pointers and defense. I guess that's essentially my thought process in a nutshell.
If you're getting double teamed, you're not a role player. I want to put that forward right now. If someone has to double team you,
It's not on the ball though. He never's double teamed on ball.
I feel like he is. If he's cooking, they send two guys. Not a lot of role players are going to get double teamed.
But that's why the offense is so weird. He doesn't touch the ball much. He really doesn't. He doesn't. He gets off-ball screens and runs around until he's open and pretty much lets it fly most of the time.
It's been so long since I've even seen Klay Thompson play. It's hard for me to even picture it.
Yeah.
It's just been so long. It feels like 3 years of basketball, but it's really only been 2. But we've had, what, 2 championships or 2 champions since he was in the finals last. So that is technically 3 seasons. We're in that 3rd season since. It's been a long time, man. Come back, Klay. We miss you.
I guess things are starting. I guess you can't really think of it like that. I guess it's. I think every player is pretty much on the spectrum. You know, that's how it is in reality. But
I don't know. I think there's a clear distinction on these championship teams we're talking about, where there's 2 stars who get all the attention, and then the role players take away a couple big shots when they can, and that's what's the difference in the game. Think of Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal. They were the 2 stars of that Miami Heat championship team, but they had a bunch of role players around them.
Well, that was before the time of super teams, is what you're remembering.
Right. But how many super teams had 3 stars on them that won? The only one I can really think of is that Warriors team with Kevin Durant. But you could argue that Klay was a role player on that team.
And they clobbered them. That's the thing. When they did win, they clobbered them. The only reason the Nets didn't win is because of injuries. 100%. No doubt about it.
Because then if you subscribe to that big three, will win every time, then it makes the Mavericks' victory over them even better, because they did have a big 3, and they did lose healthy.
100%. That's actually, that's crazy. That's why Dirk's freaking championship is nuts.
I can't think of another big 3, quote unquote, healthy that lost.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't just been that many big 3s.
Yeah.
Which is probably
that's why it's kind of a new thing. That was almost the first one, really.
I'm sure the teams with the Celtics and the Lakers, those Magic, Kareem.
Oh yeah, James Worthy.
That feels kind of big 3 to me.
That's true.
And the Celtics teams, I know they don't get as much love with Bird, McHale. And there's a 3rd guy in there somewhere. But I think you get glimpses of it throughout, and that's why they're kind of so dominant. Did MJ ever have a big 3?
I guess Scott. No, he only ever had Scotty in his bigs. I guess Dennis, but
did he have Pippen and Rodman at the same time?
Yeah, but Rodman is a role player. He's not a big 3. Rodman is probably one of the best role players ever too.
Yeah, that would be a good one. If he's not a big 3, quote unquote, then he would be one of the better role players of all time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Jimmy Butler. Because Pippen's for sure a star. He's for sure a star. He brought the Bulls to the championship the year MJ took a year off. It was Eastern Conference Finals, so they didn't drop off that hard.
Yeah, Pippen was. Yeah, no doubt a star.
Superstar, yeah, for sure. That's why I feel bad for Reggie Miller. Because right when he got his 2nd superstar, Jermaine O'Neal, Malice at the Palace happened. Did you watch that documentary, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
It was so
It's a good one. It's a great one.
So good, man. It just put it into such like clear light.
Mm-hmm.
And the interviews, and I love Jermaine O'Neal, and I just never knew about his part in that team. I only knew his later career, and that's a crazy.
How nice
story.
they were, yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. They had a bunch of bucket getters, Steven Jackson and Ron Artest. Like, oh my God!
And they were mean.
They should have won a chip for sure.
Yeah,
100%. Maybe it was Ron Artest and his mental health. It was Ron Artest and his mental health that perhaps destabilized their chances. But really, that wasn't his fault.
Who won that year?
Look it up because I can't exactly remember who won the year Malice at the Palace. But I think it was the Pistons won the year before. And that's why they were really like going at each other. And then the next year would have been the Spurs probably. Which an Indiana Pacers team would have probably beat the Spurs there. With all the people they had. But that's an interesting question. The year the Malice of the Palace happened, who won the championship that season? Because Reggie Miller probably should have a ring. No doubt. No doubt for sure. We're coming into the third quarter, or I guess fourth quarter here. And our score is 22-33. Brooklyn holding an 11-point lead. Unfortunately, this is looking like another loss for us. Nice dunk by Butler. Maybe I spoke too soon, Jimmy Butler. Bring home the dub.
That was the Pistons year, 2004.
That's when they won?
That's when the Malice happened.
And then the Pistons beat the Lakers? Oh, yeah, because the Pacers went to the finals, lost to the Lakers. Dang, they were close. And then they felt they could beat the Lakers. And to be fair, the Detroit Pistons, the Indiana Pacers were very similar teams, which is why it was so interesting. Just grit and grimy, gonna do what you can to get a bucket type of players with like veteran leadership who could shoot. So you could make that argument easily that the Pacers win that year, because the Lakers in the finals didn't look all that great.
Yeah, it was the Malice happened November 19th, 2004. So maybe the playoffs were in 2005, so it was the 2005 championship.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought I remembered them saying was the Pistons had just won the championship. They were trying to repeat. And so 2005 NBA champs. Were the Spurs. Yep, because the Pistons went back and lost to the Spurs in 6. Which, maybe that was the Spurs year. But looking back, game 1 of that finals, Spurs won big. Game 2, Spurs won big. Game 3, Pistons win big. Game 4, Pistons win big. Game 5, Spurs win by 1 point. Game 6, Pistons win. And then game 7, Spurs win big.
Wow.
So that would have been a battle either way. Hard to say. Because that's a good Spurs team that wins. Obviously. That's part of their legacy in San Antonio. But you don't know.
Yeah. That would have been fun to see.
Yeah. Reggie Miller, Jermaine O'Neal were the 2 stars that year, and everyone else was a role player. Just play defense and shoot, really, is what it was. Like, that was an ultimate 3-and-D team, I would say. Like, a really good 3-and-D team.
Yeah.
A little bit ahead of their time in that sense. Brooklyn's leaving the door open for Miami to come and steal this one. This is a big possession. Jimmy Butler and one, baby. Let's bring it back. Bring it within 4. Attaboy, Jimmy. 10 in the second half, shooting 70% from the field. This is what I want to see tonight. I want to see us win another one. All right, we got a game. 4 points. Here we go, Brooklyn. What you gonna do? Give it right up to Kevin Durant for an easy flush. Oh my gosh. Not about it. We're going to make the gameplay big. We're going to focus in on the gameplay here. 3 minutes left in the fourth. Jimmy Butler's going to enforce his will, but he can't score on Blake Griffin, who gets an easy one. This might be the time that the Nets put them away and then give us another loss on tonight. My goodness. If you're watching us for the first time, go ahead and give us a follow and tell us your favorite player, your favorite team, and who you think is the greatest basketball player of all time. We'd love to hear from you. Love to talk about it. Jimmy Butler's literally just going to the basket, trying to put his heel on his back. He's got to be tired. Get him some Gatorade, coach. How was work today, Mike?
It was good. Pretty slow. Not much going on, but I'm getting paid Friday, so that's good.
Same. End of the month. Shout out to everyone getting paid this Friday.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited. We will probably have keys to our house on Friday as well, which is nuts. It feels crazy.
Dude, I gotta come. I'm gonna come back sometime next month, and so I can check out the house.
Dude, do it. It's gonna be awesome. Getting a new house is stressful, but it's a tiny little house, and I'm excited to move in. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
That might be the game. If Jimmy Butler can't bring it back within a reasonable amount. Gosh darn Brooklyn, dude. I feel like every Brooklyn game we're going to watch, they're going to win.
Yeah.
I honestly like the floor, though. My wife does not like basketball that much, and she enjoys Brooklyn's overall aesthetics. She likes their uniforms. She likes their court. She likes Jay-Z.
You said you don't like the court though?
No, I do. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool looking.
It makes it look like a black and white TV game, but then the players are like full color. It's kind of
Whoa.
cool. You ever
I
think of it that way?
I never saw it like that. It's
Even
true.
watching live, that's exactly what it looks like. And it's
It
so
does look like a black
cool.
and white TV. That's cool.
It's just so cool. Like to intentionally have that grayscale, to design it like a court like Boston's, like colorful, like red and kind of orange brown tone floor, but then grayscale that out. Like that's kind of sick.
Yeah, it's crazy looking. It's awesome.
It's like all I can see sometimes.
We live in Brooklyn, baby.
I live in Brooklyn, baby. Baby.
We live in Brooklyn, baby.
Unfortunately, Mike, I hate to tell us this, but we're going to take another L tonight as the Brooklyn Nets are just too far
It's
away.
okay.
That means
Lay the L's on me.
we
Lay 'em
got,
on
I know,
me.
tonight's a L kind of night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses so far. We're in 2-5 tonight with 3 potential victories, so we could go 5 for 5, which I'd be okay with. If the Suns, Blazers, and Cavs win, bring it on, baby. As our final score is Brooklyn 43, Miami 33. I thought we had some really good conversations tonight. What is one thing you didn't think you were going to say?
One thing I didn't think I was going to say, maybe how my day went at work. I didn't think I was going to talk about that.
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough.
But, yeah, it's a bad day for the boys in terms of win-loss. We'll bounce back. We'll bounce back from this day.
Definitely going to bounce back. Let's check our plus minus heroes and zeros as you think of your answer there. James Harden with a plus 13 versus over on the Heat side. Ooh, Kyle Lowry minus 14. Got to be better, Kyle Lowry. That's tough on Kyle for sure.
Mm-hmm. Tough day for Kyle.
Tough day all around the league.
All around, Kyle. It's not just you, brother. It's us too.
Dude, the Lakers lose a game they should have won. The Celtics lose a game they probably should have won.
Yeah.
The Hornets did win. Days. That's not a surprise.
Hornets, dude.
Bucks.
Bro, what if we went to a Hornets-Laker game at Staples?
That would be so expensive. I'll see you there, but it's going to be expensive. Although if the Lakers are bad, though, whatever. It's fine. We'll be okay.
I don't even care if the Lakers are bad. I'll still get a Westbrook jersey. I don't care.
Yeah. The thing that I didn't think I would say today is this whole conversation about the difference between a role player and a star player and how there's clear stars and then it gets fuzzy between that third star in the team or someone who's just a really good role player that maybe should be a star and maybe isn't. That's what I'm taking away tonight.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest pill to swallow is when you think you're a star and you have to become a role player. Like Melo struggled with that. Dwight Howard struggled with that transition kind of thing.
Yep, and we'll see what Westbrook ends up being, if he's a star on this team or if he's a role player. If Anthony Davis is a star on this team or if he's a role player. He's playing like one of the two stars. And if the Lakers only have two of their stars, that's who their stars are. And that's the question. Do they have a 3-star team that can actually work? Or is it 2 stars and a role player? We'll see next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Follow us on Twitter, JTalkingBuckets, or TikTok, Just Talking Buckets. Thanks for watching. And as always, keep talking buckets.
Catch guys, the flip-flops, baby. See you next time.